We have multiple massive Jays updates ahead of the ALDS beginning tomorrow as John Schneider has leaked the truth behind not only his master plan heading into this series, but also Bichette's injury. We're going to break down exactly what these updates are and discuss what it means going forward, as well as the Game 1 starter. It has been announced, which sheds some serious light on their pitching plans beyond tomorrow's afternoon game. Ton to go over on this episode, but before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts of the support lately. We are on the road to 19,000 subscribers, so make sure to hit the subscribe button, and of course the bigger goal of 20,000 subscribers. Folks, it's a pretty busy day today, and I guess in Jays land, we are the day, it's a calm before the storm here. It is ALDS Eve, if you want to call it that, but some new information has dropped here. And like I mentioned in the video earlier this morning, John Schneider was speaking out today to the media. He just did moments ago. We have some Vladdy comments. We have a bunch of stuff, but let's start with probably the biggest piece of news from today, at least concrete piece of news, and that is that Kevin Gausman is going to be officially starting Game 1 against the New York Yankees, starting, of course, in tomorrow's game at the Rogers Center. So, not a big surprise. There were some rumblings about maybe the Jays will line up somebody else as their number one starter to go up against Max Fried in the Game 2. It's not going to happen. They are starting Kevin Gausman in Game 1, which means a few different things here. And we can obviously dive into whether or not that's going to be a huge problem regarding who else is going to be starting. Trey is Savage, Max Scherzer, he's probably going to be left off the roster. But for tomorrow, we know it's Gausman Game 1. Now, beyond that, it's still yet to be confirmed. My gut feeling is it's going to be a Savage Game 2, Bieber Game 3, and then maybe Bassett Game 4. And of course, with the Savage Game 2 at home, you have Eric Lauer piggybacking. But as of now, it is confirmed Gausman Game 1. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Nothing too surprising. Let's dive into a few other things, though, because there is a lot to go over today. And let's just hop right into the Bichette news here. So he is still day-to-day, and that running is still going to be the big test. All signs continue to point to him not being on the ALDS roster, but the Blue Jays won't reveal much more until that's announced tomorrow morning. So this is where things now immediately become pretty interesting, because I honestly expected them in today's, John Schneider media availability and, Vlad and all these different things, for them to announce that Bo is going to be out for the ALDS. Now, they probably don't want to do that, whether or not they think he is going to be out. They probably don't want to do that because they don't want to tip their cards here to the New York Yankees. But the fact that he's still day to day, you can either view it as encouraging or, you can be pessimistic about it. My guess is he definitely won't be ready for Game 1. They're at this point evaluating whether or not he'll be able to get into any of the games at any capacity, maybe Game 4 or something like that. And then at that point, is it worth a roster spot? And I think the answer is yes, no matter what. But you can see this here from Thomas Hall. At this point, it's more determining if Bichette can help you later in the ALDS rather than this weekend. And that's kind of where I stand with it as well. Keep in mind, it's Game 1 and 2 tomorrow and Sunday, day off Monday. Games 3 and 4, Tuesday, Wednesday, day off, and then Game 5, I believe it'll be on Friday if it gets to that point. But there is at least one day off guaranteed here to where you can kind of extend the rehab a little bit. Now, at this juncture, it is a pretty tough one because John Schneider also came out and said that if they are going to have Bichette, it's going to be as like an everyday role, in the sense of they're not going to just, I think the exact quote was like, they're not just going to have Bichette on the team to pinch hit, essentially, right? They're going to have him on the team playing, not necessarily shortstop, but playing every single day, probably DHing if he's going to, be healthy enough. And that's where the question mark becomes, because if not, you can make an argument for somebody else on the roster being deserving of that spot, and that's where things remain a little bit iffy there. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Not ideal by any means. Bo being day-to-day. However, he's not confirmed out, whether that's mind games, whether that's them trying to, keep their cards hidden here ahead of the big series against the Yankees. I'm sure the Yankees are playing, I don't know if their strategy changes either way. You have to assume it's going to be Luis Hill, and then beyond that, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler probably, and then Fried again. You had to jump on them quickly and take advantage of Game 1, because if you don't, you're going to be in pretty big trouble, because then you have the ace in Max Fried, another co-ace in Carlos Rodon, both lefties. The Jays don't have a ton of, they do have a pretty good lineup against lefties, but not quite as powerful with Barger being out. Versho, Lucas, all these guys this year who have been big contributors. And to kind of rewind a little bit about the Kevin Gausman, start here, Ben Nicholson-Smith made an interesting tweet a couple hours ago. And of course, he has sources, but he also has some pretty good baseball knowledge and baseball insight here and, baseball mind. Jays have a few options with their pitching. Bieber Game 3, Trey Game 2 with a piggyback. Bullpen game, expect Jays to consider all of the above. Pros and cons to each. Anyone who's super confident that one way is best/worst might be overstating the case, and ultimately, it's on the players to perform. And something I do want to mention here is this is the second time now he's done this, in the sense of in his tweet this morning and in his article last night. He's mentioned Bieber game 3 and then Trey game 2 with a piggyback. I think that's the way they're going to go. I think it's going to be Gausman, Trey game 2 with a piggyback of Eric Lauer, especially against all the lefties that the Yankees have. Again, you can't risk Max Scherzer. You can't risk some of the other guys. I wouldn't have Trey Savage making his first career playoff start and really his fourth career start ever on the road in Yankee Stadium in a high leverage game. We saw it in yesterday's wild card game 3. 2 rookies made their playoff debuts, one of them at home in Cam Schlittler, and then the other one for the Red Sox, the lefty not at home, and he was a little bit more shaken up than Cam Schlittler was. I don't know if you can put Trey Savage under that pressure. It's on the players to perform, and I have full faith in him anyway. But I think giving a veteran like Shane Bieber, who's pitched in the playoffs before, has pitched in high leverage games, high stakes playoff games before, I think he's better suited for a role at Yankee Stadium. But again, just another piece of another tweet highlighting the most, I think, likely way that they'll be going here surrounding their pitching staff. And speaking of pitching staff, let's have a quick look at the career ERAs for the New York Yankees pitchers at the Rogers Center. Now you have Luis Hill and Max Fried. Their career ERAs at the Rogers Center are 5.40 and 6.35 respectively. And then career ERAs versus the Blue Jays, Rodon's at 4.72 and Cam Schlittler, in very small sample size, I think one start, maybe two, is 8.10. I do not want to use this as any sort of ammunition to say that the Jays are going to win the series, because this really doesn't matter, right? There is some, I guess, analytics you can take from this. Yes, they've struggled at the Rogers Center, and yes, they've struggled against the Blue Jays, but this is playoff time. None of this really matters at the end of the day. The Jays finished with the same record as the Yankees. They ultimately got the bye because of the tiebreaker. You could say that, yes, the Jays crushed the Yankees in the regular season. They swept them that one series. None of that really matters now. It's how players perform in the playoffs. Judge has been really bad in the playoffs recently. Could he explode? Yes, he's due for, explosion there. Could the Jays' bats go cold like they have, in the last playoff series they played? That's the biggest question. And Vladdy was asked specifically about the Yankees and if there's any, trying to get bulletin board material out of him ahead of this one. We know back when he said that he hates the Yankees, all these different things, he said it's the same against every team. So the Yankees aren't personal for him. He just wants to win a World Series, kind of hoping for, I'm sure the media there was hoping for a pretty big quote. It ultimately didn't happen. He did have another quote, though. Feel pretty good mentally, physically, but the most important thing for me is winning. It's winning. We've got to win. We've got to find a way to win. And, it's at that point now where Vladdy's never won a playoff game, but Bichette's never won a playoff game, John Schneider's never won a playoff game at the MLB level. You have to just go out and take care of business. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Hopefully the Jays can get it done here. I'm expecting some more news to come out. Again, tomorrow the roster will be revealed. Should have a video covering that. If not, there'll be a video following the game. One quick note here as well. These are Trey Savage's advanced analytics for his AAA this year. We know how good he was at the MLB level. This is some of his advanced analytics there from AAA. His stuff plays. Hopefully he can take care of business against the New York Yankees whenever he does pitch, whether that's starting or out of the bullpen. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.